Now to a story commemorating Holocaust Remembrance Day. Today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, marking 78 years since the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp in Nazi-occupied Poland. 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust, and as survivors get older, their firsthand accounts are becoming rarer and rarer. Jericka Duncan met up with 2 survivors to learn about their stories and a special project they're working on in the kitchen to keep their traditions alive. Jericka, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Food, of course, is one of the best ways to experience culture. Not only are we using our senses to take us back in time, but oftentimes we're in the kitchen listening to stories as we're preparing those recipes, and stories that let us know what it was like and why we should never forget about the past.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat.
For 84-year-old Tova Friedman, there's one ingredient that matters most during Friday night Shabbat dinner: family.
Shabbat Shalom.
3 generations gathered around the dining room table. It's a dream that Friedman never imagined would be possible as a 5-year-old in Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp, where more than 1 million people died.
Are you sometimes surprised that you survived the Holocaust?
Yes and no, because being a child, I didn't think about survival or not survival. I was more concentrating on surviving every hour. And every hour, every day was like, wow, I'm still here.
It's a fear that 84-year-old Eugene Genter also endured. His first 6 years of life were spent in that same extermination camp.
They shaved me from here all the way back. They took all the hair out, so only hair on the sides remained. And they did it to every prisoner. And we were halfway to the gas chamber, and he says, "Halt, about face." And then my father, who spoke perfect German, he found out that they had gotten orders because the Russians were so close that they were only to burn the bodies of the dead, but not to gas anymore because of the evidence.
So you were minutes away from dying.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you remember the details so well?
Because these memories are so vibrant, so vivid.
I could close my eyes as a child, and if I heard the boots of the Germans, I can tell you which German it was, somebody to be feared or somebody who's safe.
The sights and sounds of genocide never left them. Neither did the feeling of starvation.
When people say to me, "What did you think in Auschwitz?" Food. I had dreams about food. Food was a constant thought, and it was connected with life or death all the time.
What was the worst for me was the thirst. When I was on a transport and there was 3 days without water, that stuck with me to this day. I still have to have some water nearby. So, you know, I have to have some water because it gets to me.
Do you remember your first real meal after liberation?
In Auschwitz, there was this terrible smell of burning bodies permeated everywhere. But then I began to smell another smell. And I said to myself, after liberation, "What is that?" She said, "That's the making of bread." I still remember that.
How did those experiences shape who you are today?
Oh, it changed me completely. I made my life a monument, sort of what Hitler tried to kill. 4 children and grandchildren. I tried to resurrect that which Hitler wanted to destroy.
After liberation in 1945, they both eventually settled in the U.S. They've been building their lives through the families they've created.
Just amazing.
And the traditions they're passing on to the next generation, like Jewish recipes. Their favorite dishes are featured in this new cookbook, Honey Cake and Latkes, Recipes from the Old World. Friedman and Genter met while working on the book, published by the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial Foundation. It includes more than 100 Holocaust survivors' stories paired with family recipes.
Food reminds you of your family and the love, like the cheesecake or the babka that my mother would make. You know, it brings back the memories of the love that she was transferring.
Food was always so internal. Food are always people in some way.
I have to put all my body weight on it. There we go.
So I joined Friedman and Genter in the kitchen to learn a thing or two about making kasha varnishkas.
I like it.
For me, it's a comfort food.
As children of the Holocaust, Friedman and Genter know their stories will soon fade. But their hope is that the lessons learned from such an atrocity will not.
Help people understand and connect the dots to why survivors like yourselves are fearful that something like the Holocaust could happen again.
I'm fearful that it can happen again because most people don't know any history. They're not aware of what happened.
What do you want people to remember about the Holocaust?
My story can be duplicated by 1.5 million children who were murdered. I was just lucky. I feel almost obligated to talk about them. It's like I am bringing them back from their ashes because I represent them.
And we thank Mrs. Friedman and Mr. Genter for sharing those stories. We wanted to share one of the recipes from the book. I can't promise you it was I didn't put my foot in it as I did at the last one.
Oh, you made this.
Oh, you made
I made
this.
this.
Oh, wow.
This is a chocolate sandwich, and Mr. Genter said his mother made him this to fatten him up after liberation because he was so thin and frail. So usually it's like a black bread.
What is it?
It's a rye bread usually. This is a wheat bread, but it's butter, and then you just put some chocolate. You shave chocolate on top of it.
Butter on bread and chocolate? This is a winner.
Bread, butter, chocolate. That's a pretty good combination.
It's very simple, but when you think about what they were going through at that time, this would make sense. A lot of those pasta dishes, bread dishes.
That's why it's so important to tell these stories. And when
It's
you hear
so
anybody
important.
doubt what the Holocaust, it's maddening. Did you by chance bring any challah bread? I love challah bread.
Holla back.
Food is love, food is life. The book comes out in September. You can find it wherever you like to buy your books.
Thank you, Jericka.